then, right? No?
Blog
After that?
Talk
Now they
Radio.
can.
You can or they can?
Everybody can.
Oh, all right.
RVD
I'll talk to you after
Hold
this.
on.
I'll call the other number.
All right.
The whole fucking show. Drop that down.
Dude, everybody listen to it.
The whole fucking show. Examinator. Examinator. Kushinator. Assassinator. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. Again, you're straight to your brain. Straight to your skull crack. You get down to straight to your brain. Straight to your skull crack. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. I will fly high. 5-star broad blast. You can't stop me. 5-star broad blast. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. Drop that down. The whole fucking show. It's all about the yin and the yang. The balance of power that's in. You can't stop the yin and the yang. The balance of power that's in. Drop it down. The whole fucking show. Drop it down. The whole fucking show. I will levitate. Flip, kick you in the yam. I will decimate. You can prepare for. Drop it down. The whole fucking show. 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 Drop it down. The whole fucking show.
Happy RVD Radio, everybody. We're back by popular demand, and I say that because people tell me all the time, dude, do another radio show. I love listening to it. We're getting quite a following, or at least someone's listening to us. Might be the same 4 people over and over that I keep seeing, but anyway, if there's an outlet out there, I got words to say, and as many subjects as we have covered, there's one that we keep coming back to. Why? Because the host of the show is very passionate about it, but 2, because the timing is crucial right now, not set upon by me, but the perimeters of the time have been set by the government. Tuesday is voting day, the gubernatorial elections, and this particular voting day is very important for us here in California and everybody, in particular because of a very controversial initiative, Prop 19. We talked about it before. I had Paul Armentano from Normal breaking it down, explaining it to us back when it was first introduced, and they were getting the word out there. It's time to talk about it again. This is the last chance that we have before Tuesday to do some educating. So we're going to talk about ending marijuana prohibition, which I'm not saying is going to happen for sure. Recent poll shows that voters are slightly in favor of not voting Prop 19 through. We're going to talk about why that is. We're going to hear from the other side of the argument also on this. Going to be giving some airtime to a lawyer who is not only anti-Prop 19, but he's anti-marijuana. I don't know to what extent. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but we're going to hear from him. So that's what we're going to get to coming up on tonight's episode. So happy Wednesday, October 27th, everybody. As you know, that's a tradition. I always wish everyone a happy day. I think I've done that on every radio show, and I always remind you, we're grateful to be here. Not everyone is here. Not everyone made it. They listened to the last show. Not joining us tonight will be Michael Porter, who just recently passed away here in Los Angeles, California. Michael Porter had been a long-time, very trustworthy and consistent fan of the show. He always called in, talked about it.
He was always first. You know
always.
that? Always
Michael
first.
Porter's Puppy Pepper at Puppies. Remember that?
Pepper. Oh yeah. He just loved you and loved wrestling, and he would call in, and he's always my first caller, and it's just so bizarre for me. Did you know that on Facebook they set up a memory, in loving memory of Michael Porter, like Facebook page, because he has so many videos and things that he did when he was an announcer, and they actually did some stuff for him on Blog Talk Radio because he's had a show. I trained him for his very first Blog Talk Radio show. I'm really going to miss him. I'm really going to miss him.
Yeah, but RVD Radio producer Nikki Starr joining the conversation, by the way. Nikki, do you have the address to that Facebook page?
I do, actually. It is facebook.com/pages and then in loving memory of Michael Porter. I put it in the chat room, so I'll do it again.
Okay, yeah. So,
it's neat.
I had seen him not too long ago. He came out to a Bruce Jingles comedy show at Universal City.
Yeah, I remember him saying he was gonna. We talked on Facebook all the time, and that's the last time I heard from him, was he was saying that he was going to do that. Then he wasn't feeling too well, and then that was the last I heard. So,
yeah, so
I'm glad that you found out. Yeah.
Age of 59.
Too young.
Saturday night. Yeah, for sure. Great guy, and we could always count on him. He was very reliable that he was going to be. Yeah, we didn't ever doubt. And by the way, he wasn't just a fan. He was always connected to wrestling because he actually had earlier in the day. He worked for WWE. I'm reading off of Canoe Slam Sports. They have a story on it. Has a picture of me and Michael Porter together from earlier this year.
Yeah, love
you
that
saw
picture.
That. Okay. From 88 to 93, he worked for WWE primarily as a ring announcer on the West Coast. He also had a wrestling newsletter, Michael Porter's Wrestle Beat, a radio show, Michael Porter's Wrestle Shoot, which I myself have been on. And is that what you trained him for, or it was a different than Blog Talk Radio? Yeah.
No, it was a Blog Talk Radio, that one.
Says he was also a professional singer and comedian. I didn't know that. Yeah. He also worked for WWE.
That's what the YouTube stuff is. Yeah.
He worked as in other capacities, including security at WrestleMania 7 at the LA Sports Arena, and on the ring setup crew. He was a ring announcer for several independent promotions and hosted a short-lived TV show, UWA Wrestle Shoot TV. Who's this talking right here? Summers. Who's Summers? Okay, longtime friend and webmaster Mike Summers for Porter's website said, someone who had such a passion for the business, even after his days with WWE were over. I enjoyed seeing him in 92 at a house show in Chico, California. Met him in 97. Haven't stopped being entertained since. So everyone that knows Michael Porter, will miss him. By the way, just walking into the studio is SVD. Say hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
We're talking about...
Hi, Nikki.
We missed you.
It's about Porter.
It is. And you know what's bizarre to me? Let me just say something right quick. So, I've never met him, but I've known him for 4 years, and we talked a lot, and he was always the first caller on this show, and he was always so kind. And I find it very bizarre that I miss somebody that I've never met. Do you know what I mean? This really is getting to me because I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. Never met him, but I'm going to miss him. That's bizarre.
Yeah. Also joining us here and somewhat hesitant to participate in.
I'm not hesitant. Who's on the phone?
Nikki Starr.
Hey, Nikki Starr. This is Lemasters. I'll be sitting beside RVD today.
Good. And you know we got Bruce on the line. And
Jingles?
you know, I'm gonna.
What?
Yeah, here there
What
he
up,
is.
Masters, motherfucker? What up, Playboy? Let it be known.
That's right.
That's right. West Coast.
Holla.
West side, motherfucker.
Bruce Jingles, we're talking about Michael Porter, so before we move on, I'm sure you got a couple words to say. Last time we saw Michael Porter, in fact, the only time I think that I saw him in person, actually, except for, like Mickey said, we talked to him all the time on the phone, but saw him at your comedy show at Universal City.
Yeah.
You know, the one where you went up and talked about being drunk? Oh, wait, that's every time. But, yeah, you were, I know you were pretty impacted by the news as well.
Yeah, dude, I was in El Paso, and Diana Holiday called me. The show had just ended, and I was walking, I was going to my hotel room, and she called me with the news, and it just kind of, it's horrible. And,
she called me. My phone number was in Michael Porter's cell phone, and she said, she was calling me from that. I was on the road. I actually just got home a couple hours ago from wrestling 5 different matches in 5 different days, 5 different towns, 5 different flights, although not in a row. But anyway, also Saturday I'm going to be somewhere. I should plug it, but I'm not sure where it is. Something in Arizona. I'll try and find out during the show so that I can plug that. Something TNA booked me on, taking Mick Foley's place for some reason, but some show. It's a huge, like a WrestleMania kind of show or something. I'll find it. But I'm home for a minute. I wanted to do the show because, like I said, Bruce Jingles, are you voting Tuesday?
I already voted.
Huge.
I vote absentee.
Right. I'm used to doing that. Every year I'm used to being gone or whatever, but this year I'm going to be in town.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I voted, and I'll tell you what I voted. Yes on 19, and fuck no on Meg Whitman. Meg Whitman looks like Terry Bradshaw.
And she's a girl?
I think so.
She's a girl. That's what they say, Nikki.
Just really sucks about Michael.
Also, while we're talking about it, this up for L.A. California Attorney General is Cooley, Attorney Steve Cooley, and this guy is like the number one enemy against medical marijuana. A lot of Californians that oppose Prop 19 think that it's going to interfere with the medical marijuana laws, and while they're holding, they want to hold the protections that they have currently under 215, they think Prop 19 is going to fuck that up. It's actually written with the intent to leave 215 there, so with the doctor's recommendation, you'll still be protected with those same rights, and Prop 19 would then affect recreational use, for lack of a better term, meaning without the doctor's recommendation. There's a lot of confusion there. The way that it's written, it's being interpreted different ways, and that's why some people are against Prop 19 that are actually still for ending this ridiculous waste of resources on trying to prohibit marijuana. This guy Cooley, though, he says that if he gets elected, and he's way ahead in the polls, by the way, he's a Los Angeles District Attorney, Steve Cooley, and if he gets elected for Attorney General, he's going to shut down all the medical marijuana dispensaries. He says that's the way he interprets Prop 215 to read. No, we can't let that happen. He's actually, according to polls, it looks like he's going in. So, yeah, so it's very important that everybody, it's important that everyone goes out, everybody votes, and it's important that we do not let this guy in the office. Either way, that's not good for anybody. He's the anti-Cooley message is, Cooley is not cool. He's not cool on medical marijuana. He's not cool on same-sex marriage. He's not cool on the
sounds like a real son of a bitch.
He is. let's keep him out of there. He's been one of the enemies that's always opposed and complicated the regulatory process. It's been 14 years in the making for medical marijuana. He's always jamming it up, fucking it up, and now he wants to close it down. And there's not enough attention being paid to that motherfucker right there, by the way. So
fuck him.
Yeah, so fuck Cooley.
Can I ask you a question right quick?
Yes.
Okay.
What's your question for
I
little girl?
heard, okay, my question is this. Daddy, go not, I'm a poor little girl. I heard that a lot of states are pumping money into California, like Utah, and that's what they did with Proposition 8, and they have nothing to do with your state. So that I heard that a lot of people, it was a bigger lead for Proposition 19 to be passed until Utah pumped a lot of money into California. How do you feel about that?
Well, it sucks, but I totally expect that, and much because, like you said, it happened with Prop 8, so obviously that's the way they do it. There's the whole reason that marijuana is prohibited is just because there's so many people that stand to make tons and tons of money by prohibiting the utilization of the cannabis sativa plant, recreationally, medicinally, and materially. 3 separate categories. So you're talking about alcohol, tobacco, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and when you get into using hemp, and you talk about everything that it can do, you're talking about fuel, you're talking about oil companies that want to fight it. All these big, massive companies with billions of dollars, they're the ones that keep it illegal. So I've always stood on a moral issue and said eventually at moral grounds it's going to win. That's not going to win with people. People don't care about morality as much as I do, at least not in this concern. So on an economic issue now, we're looking at it, long term. Yeah, these companies stand to make a lot of money while you go to their products, the plastics, the nylon that DuPont got the patent on when he originally helped outlaw hemp back in the day. They stand to make a lot of money, but this is for the people now. Now the people understand there's $14 billion in California being generated, not taxed, so we're not seeing any of the revenue for it. It's causing all the violence that comes with Prohibition, the 30,000 people at the border being killed, all because of this. So now people are starting to understand it. So even if this doesn't vote through, just the fact that it came to a discussion and will continue to be discussed until the next, until the 2012 elections, it's very historical, it's very important. That's why I got to do this episode.
Amen. Preach on.
I'm telling you, and what I love about I've seen you on TV debating. I forget the old guy's name, but what I love about when you talk about it is it's definitely something the facts about and the revenue generation and the reasons that it's not unhealthy for you as smoking or drinking. And I can't understand why it's not legal. I just can't.
Because they can't make money off of it if it's legal.
That doesn't make sense. They're going to make taxes off of it, right?
No, but they're douchebags. Because also, you got to think of it, the cigarette companies don't want it legal. The alcohol companies don't want it legal.
No.
The
jails
don't want it legal. I mean, because because you're turning away business that way if it's legal.
Man.
And they're just douchebags.
But in order for the Californians to really understand how it's going to affect them, and by the way, I've been doing my rounds. I'm planning on trying to put an RVD TV episode together, and then hopefully today or tomorrow, next couple of days, because, like I said, we don't have much time, and I'm still planning on hopefully doing this truth commercial I have that I'm going to put out on YouTube. Hopefully I'll have it done this weekend. I have another debate that I'm planning on going to. But already I went to the college, to UCLA, and I talked to the students on Rock Your Vote Day. Went up to Jingles. You saw me at the Comedy Club, saw you there. That was also a marijuana awareness and Prop 19 awareness, anti-Cooley message-themed show. I've debated this lady that's a former lawyer down at Kushinator's for Hash Bar TV, and also yesterday I did Jeremy Borash's internet show called The Spin Cycle, and I got to talk about this, And something else, I don't know, I've just been really doing my rounds. I still have more to do. Tonight I'm going to have a lawyer on who is, he's an opposer, but I haven't talked to him about what his issues are yet or anything, so we'll see. And you know, we'll give him some time to see if he can make any sense of his part of the argument. He's anti-Prop 19. I believe he's also anti-marijuana in general, I believe. But I don't want to put words in his mouth, like I said. So that's attorney Jeffrey Lemasters Tahir. We'll talk to him a little bit later. Big subject. Thing is, a year or two ago, this was dirty to talk about. You know, when I would talk about marijuana, people go, shh, don't, you know, they'd look around, look over their shoulder. Did you just say pot? Don't talk about that. It's like you're talking about jerking off in the middle of a school or something. And now, all day long, you can turn on the TV, they're talking about marijuana. They're talking about the possibility of legalizing it and debating the issue. It's in magazines, it's on TV, it's everywhere. So I just got home and Sonia had recorded The View for me. Thanks, baby.
No worries, babe.
And you know, they were talking about it. Newsweek, this Newsweek has a big story on it, on the conservatives and their views on pot. And there's a lot of information in here. One thing that we did last week too, wasn't that media press conference awesome that we went to, baby?
Yes, that was really awesome.
There was a media press conference in Hollywood before I went out of town that I went to, and it had a panel that was so fucking informative and extensive. I was so glad that I was there. I don't see how anybody could have seen that and not learned anything. We had 3 celebrities there. Melissa Etheridge talked about the usage for cancer patients, and also the facts on how just plant medicines should be looked. Did you just put your drink on a magazine cover with Rob Van Dam on it? Why would you do that? That's what Chris Masters setting his drink down, putting a big Diet Coke ring on a magazine cover of RVD. Nope. That's a beautiful cover, by the way. What is that? Go get Inside Wrestling last month. Oh, it's too late. No? Okay. Anyway, so Melissa Etheridge talked about how the plant medicines need to be looked into. They've been cock-blocked, and we need to see, you know, all the benefits that they can do, and especially when it comes to cannabis, the most resourceful and fucking amazing plant on the planet. We also had Danny Glover, who talked about the minorities, how they're more affected when it comes to statistics of people being arrested and kept in jail.
Rick was there?
Hal Sparks, the comedian. Bruce, you probably know him or know of him.
I know him.
He's never used a drug in his life, never drank a drink in his life. He speaks from common sense and from freedom, human rights, adult rights, and he talks about a taxpayer, how he doesn't want to spend, you know, billions of dollars arresting people and clogging up our courts with people for possessing marijuana when we have murders, rapists, and robbers. They can't even get in. They have a 6-month waiting list before their hearing because we're wasting so much time, half of the arrest, you know, for people with pot. So anyway, that was amazing. But also we had Steve Downing, a former police lieutenant, and the governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, and those guys were so damn informative. And one thing I'll share with you that I thought was amazing, and it made so much sense, it tied so much together, because if you've listened to me talk about this subject before, you'll hear me talk and complain about the federal guidelines and their position, their inability to, or their unwillingness to make a change and to listen to reason, because marijuana is a Schedule I controlled substance. That means that doing meth is a safer choice than marijuana. Chris Masters,
okay, I was just going to ask you that. So what are the other levels of it? Like, what's cocaine and meth and heroin?
Okay.
They're okay.
Heroin and acid and marijuana are all a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning the most dangerous, also meaning non-medicinal. We have 14 states that disagree, plus the District of Columbia, which, by the way, Washington passed the medical marijuana initiative in 1998, but Congress cock-blocked implementation until just this year. So that's the way that they do it. That's the way they always do it. But also, by the way, cocaine is listed as a Schedule II along with meth, meaning safer than marijuana.
That is so wrong.
It is wrong, and my point is, I I think if all the people knew this, that the DEA would be forced to make a change. I think if we have 300 million Americans and plus, and I think if they all knew that and said, wait a second, the reasoning and logic that you're using, to spend my taxpayers to lock people up in jail, put them in cages and ruin their lives, because if you're a kid getting thrown in jail, you're fucked for life. It's on your record. Good luck getting a job, getting a grant, whatever. You're going to destroy their lives, not to mention the negative energy you get from being in a cell with those horrible people. And the reason you're doing that is because you're telling me that it's more dangerous than cocaine or than meth or cocaine. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Total bullshit.
And they're basically the feds are I think the feds are in a glass house. And they're throwing rocks from it. They're saying that if Prop 19 does pass, they're not going to allow it. Our Attorney General Eric Holden says they're still going to arrest people in California for marijuana if Prop 19 does pass. I'm hoping this argument will come to a big platform where we can look at the Controlled Substance Act and either reclassify or declassify marijuana. We're hearing every day from important, credible people in the government on TV doing commercials or on CNN or on news briefs telling the truth now, saying marijuana is non-toxic, saying there's no addictive properties in it. Some of these facts, it's amazing to me, and I'm very grateful that they're getting out there because the people are still trying to decipher between the lies. The ones that say, well, what about, I was told that a marijuana joint has as much poison as 6 packs of cigarettes or whatever the fuck. No, it doesn't. Marijuana is non-poisonous. Cigarettes are death. 1 out of 2 cigarette smokers dies from smoking cigarettes. That's the statistics right there. It has gas chamber smoke in it. It has fucking cyanide in it. It has formaldehyde. Well, maybe it's my radio show. I can be on a soapbox. It's my soapbox. That's what it's for.
Totally.
All right. So, anyway, the point of this show, is to bring awareness to this, because people don't know that. I understand people think, well, it's pot, I don't care, it doesn't affect me that much. It does. And the fact that 1 out of 8 Americans is a Californian, that means if we did vote Prop 19 through, that would send an incredibly strong message to the whole country. And just like with medical marijuana, state by state by state by state, they're approving it, and eventually they're going to force the whole federal guidelines to change, because when we have half of the states that say, yeah, we benefit from the medicinal uses of marijuana, then the federal government's no longer going to be able to say, well, wait a second, Nixon told us it's non-medicinal and we're fucking people's lives up for it.
Okay, but it's already been proven to be medicinally helpful.
Tell the federal government that. Thank you for bringing me back around. Okay, so here's what I found out at the press media conference, because I've always wondered this. Why is it that the DEA always has thrown the report away whenever they send away for a report, and the report has results that are inconsistent with what they're looking for, they throw it in the trash. When Nixon created the Controlled Substance Act in 1970, he sent out for this report. It's called the Shafee Report, if you want to Google it, and he temporarily put marijuana as a Schedule I. When the report came back, it said, look, it's not a gateway. It doesn't lead to other drugs. It's not addictive. It's not toxic. It's not dangerous. It definitely isn't a Schedule I. He threw it in the trash. Since then, that's what every president has done. That's what Harry Anslinger did when the LaGuardia Commission report came back. He threw it in the trash because they came out with the same results, which are the truth. That's what the guy that you saw me debate, the former drug czar, Barry McCaffrey, well, he did the same thing with the report, and they've always done that. So here's what I found out at the press media conference. There is a law that says the drug czar has to do that. There's a law that prevents the drug czar from considering anything that is not consistent with their policy. So when they get a report...
From considering the truth?
Yes.
They can't consider the truth. Oh, yeah.
No,
well, they can't make money off. They can't make money off the truth. That's a simple.
Okay, it's really okay. So this is quite a conspiracy.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I mean, the whole prohibition has always been a conspiracy to outlaw hemp. I've said this on every episode, but Henry Ford made a car out of hemp. It ran on hemp seed oil. He introduced it to the World Fair in like '42, and we might have gone that route had DuPont not pulled them aside and said, "Look, I just got this patent on nylons. You know, I got plastics. You know, this is the way to go. You know, him and a lot of other conglomerate big business moguls, you know, with their evil agendas, took the world over from hemp. Otherwise, if we utilized hemp, it could literally replace 80% of everything. The material that we make. It's safer for the environment. It's an annual crop. It's an annual crop, so you chop it down, you got a full-grown tree the very next year, and it actually is good for nature to use it. It releases carbon dioxide in the atmosphere when you process it. It doesn't require the chemicals to break down the fibers, and it's stronger. The wood pulp that we get out of it for the fibers is actually stronger. It jams up normal machines. You got to make special machines, and it's just one of those. It's one of those green ideas that you know, to switch over in the short term might be expensive because you got to get new machines and everything, but in the long term it would literally reverse the greenhouse effect.
Jesus. It's hard for me. Okay, so I don't smoke marijuana, all right?
You don't, yeah, obviously that's not a requirement.
Well, no, I'm
not
just
even
saying.
About that.
No, what I'm saying is I did one time and I didn't like it. However, I also don't drink Ouzo because I drank it one time and I hated it. Okay, so this is my point. So these facts are proven, but they're hidden or they're just shoved. So what you have to do and what everybody really has to do, I don't care whether you smoke it or not or whether you like it or not, it's a matter of constitutional rights. It really is.
And it is, and that's a lot of where Hal Sparks' position and perspective was, but he put it brilliantly. You're right, and it is a conspiracy, and the thing is, you know, they do put out bullshit also, and that's what we call propaganda, and that confuses the people, and they'll always do that. It was proven by a report by the DEA's own administrative law judge that smoking marijuana, even heavily every day, is not directly linked to lung cancer. No. That's a very, very important fact that they threw away. That discredits a lot of the argument where people say, well, either way, I'm sure smoking anything, you know, is bad. Well, look, I understand it's unorthodox. You don't have to smoke it. You can eat it, whatever. But I'm telling you, the plant is non-toxic. And even if common sense tells you shouldn't have smoke inside of you, if no one has ever died from it, no one has ever died from it. We even have the drugs on TV. We even have the drug czar saying that, okay, so marijuana is safer than alcohol or cigarettes, but we don't want to legalize this additional vice into society. Wait a minute. As soon as you said it's safer than alcohol or cigarettes, why go any further? I mean, you just said that. It doesn't make sense anymore then to arrest people for it when you're letting people out there using these deadly drugs that do kill people like it's candy.
Yeah. Right. And it's true. And you know what? I think a lot of it has to do with big pharmaceutical companies, which, by the way, are one of the biggest lobbyists for Congress. Because let's say that you're in pain and you could eat, because I saw this lady do this and she swore it helped. She ate a brownie, or she ate like 3 brownies a day with marijuana in them, so she didn't have to take her Vicodin anymore, which, by the way, is very addictive and not good for you. And she was so healthy. She was so healthy. But she wasn't giving money. She wasn't giving money to the pharmaceutical companies. And people in the chat are saying you can vaporize and then it does nothing. I don't know what that means, but then it does nothing to your lungs. Vaporize. Eat it or vaporize it. So
yeah, you can vaporize the THC.
Point. That's how I prefer to smoke it.
It's just crazy.
I'm vaporizing now.
Sabu, motherfucker!
I was just going to say, Sabu is here.
What's up, Sabu? No way to hear me. Listen.
What up, Sabu? Tell us what you think.
Not much,
Tell me what white
Sabu lives in Michigan, and Michigan is one of the other 13 states that have medical marijuana. They're getting pretty progressive now. They just passed it last year, and I just wrestled in Port Huron, Michigan on Sunday, and I went to a diner across the street, and I had a hemp shirt on, hemp can save the planet shirt, which sparked a conversation with the waitress. She showed me her doctor's medical marijuana referral card. They spell marijuana like in the 30s on the card with an H, marijuana, like Reefer Madness. So, but she said that I asked her about the dispensaries, because some places they'll give you the doctor's card and it's legal to have it, but you can't find it anywhere. She said there's 3 dispensaries right there in town. So they're getting pretty progressive. Colorado and California are the only other ones I know of that have the dispensaries still. Jersey's still trying to get their own law admittable if they've already passed, because Congress always cockblocks it.
In Lansing, there's like 3 within walking distance.
See, that's pretty good. And by the way, I also saw a billboard, just like I was saying in Nevada. I see every time I'm in Vegas now, they have the dispensaries too. Wow, they have more states are getting the dispensaries, but big billboard saying medical marijuana with an 800 number or something on it, a big pot leaf. Sure, it's a famous billboard in Michigan, probably.
In Vegas?
Well, I see them in Vegas all the time, the billboards and the dispensaries, yes, but I'm saying I also saw that in Michigan.
Yeah, because Vegas used to be really hardcore back in the day.
What do you mean, Bruce Jingles?
Like, you get busted with a joint?
Oh, hardcore against.
Hardcore against.
Oh, okay.
You would do time if you had a joint longer than you would if you were busted with coke.
Oh yeah,
really?
Same here.
That's idiotic.
Yeah.
That's the federal guidelines, though, and it's funny that the sound bites they use in the scare tactics, and they'll say it's a gateway drug, and smoking marijuana is going to lead you to doing heroin or acid or meth or some other hard drug. But the fact is they tell you those other drugs are safer. So basically, according to them, if you smoke marijuana, you're stepping down if you then do coke or meth.
Mm-hmm.
If you do those kind of drugs, you're going to do them anyways. Marijuana has nothing to do with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Amen.
If you want to get high coke, it's totally different.
That's it. There was a blonde lady on the TV. I don't know what her name was, but she says, I did marijuana and I did ecstasy and I did LSD. And so it should be illegal. And I said the same thing. I said, this bitch probably, I'm sure she had anal sex and probably had an orgy when she was at college, too, but she can't blame everything on marijuana. She had an open mind. She was going to try everything firsthand instead of reading about it, and so she did. Marijuana was just on her list.
Yeah,
One thing I've always said, and apparently somebody said this in Congress, too, so I love it. So I'm going to give them credit because it's in the Newsweek article. This guy is I'll just read the whole thing. It's William F. Buckley. And this is talking about the Republican Party, how the Republican Party used to really hate on marijuana, but now they're even saying, well, we can either Glenn Beck is even saying that we should legalize, which surprises the shit out of me.
Yeah,
he says, look, we can either lock people up in jail for marijuana or we can legalize it and end the war, and that makes sense. So this guy, Buckley, it says, although a handful of conservative thinkers like Milton Friedman, George Shultz, and William F. Buckley have argued the merits of legalization over the years, in parentheses, here's the part I like, Buckley even mocked those who called marijuana a gateway to addiction, saying it was on the order, saying every rapist began by masturbating.
That's funny. Nice analogy.
Every pot smoker began by masturbating also.
Hey, but it's the exact same common sense. I don't understand how people can see that differently, and they think it's got some kind of magic power that's going to, boom, give me something harder.
Yeah, no. No,
whoever,
if they went through that, then they were going to do that shit anyway. This is bottom line.
They're going to do it anyways, exactly.
Well, I think so, and the only reason that they're able to call it that and equate it as a gateway in is because of where they draw the lines, because they have marijuana prohibited, and that's where the line is. Otherwise, they would say alcohol is a gateway because I'm pretty sure most people tried alcohol first.
Alcohol is a gateway.
It is. I agree, Kevin. And you know what? What happens, this has been my experience with people who I've hung around that did drugs. If they drink, they let down their guard so much okay, that they'll say, I'll try this, or I'll try that, I'll try that.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
never
Alcohol
the other
leads to
way.
everything
I
else.
think alcohol is the major gateway drug.
Way worse.
Hey, but if you're really just going by the first thing that you have first, then it's just wherever you draw the lines. Otherwise, you can say milk is the gateway, that most people drink milk before they drink alcohol. I mean, it's really a silly way, I think, to equate anything to being a gateway. Just the fact that
I agree.
Right at first.
It's your own personality or your own interest.
You know, yes, and if you talk to psychologists or people or your doctors, everybody has a different brain chemistry, okay? So, like my drug of choice is meth. I don't do it anymore, but it was a long time ago. Other people's drug, because I'm such a spaz, I love it. Other people, there's, you know, your brain chemistry is what makes you crave a drug. Mm-hmm. It's not a gateway. It's how your brain works.
Right. If you crave it, you crave it. Marijuana has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It is.
So, and this is what Melissa Etheridge said on the conference, which was awesome. There was like at least 20 cameras there, every news station. It was, I haven't seen it on TV, but I should look it up on YouTube. I sure hope it gets a lot of play. But she had said, you know, when it comes to the accusations of it being addictive, she said, when I'm home, she says, I like to smoke it, you know, because I enjoy the way it makes me feel. She says, when I have to travel a lot for my job and I'm gone, and if I don't bring it with me, she said, I don't need it. I'm not like, there's no part of me that can't function without it. She said she might get a little bit cranky, you know, she wishes that she had it, but that's it. And you know, that it just made sense to a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't be open to hearing that, but they're like, oh, okay, well, Melissa Etheridge says, you know, that she doesn't, you know, have to have it when she's traveling. She likes to have it because it's good. Now it makes sense. You got a bunch of callers.
And when you don't have it, you look for something else, you know, like alcohol, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most people do. I do. If I don't have weed, I look for alcohol, which I don't like drinking.
Yeah, because when I was in El Paso, I didn't have any weed, but I had booze.
Right. Bruce, you like drinking. You like drinking so much you gave up driving.
That's right.
Me too.
When you get your car, you probably get it from England.
Yeah, because I'm so used to getting in on the passenger side.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bobby B, you're on RVD Radio.
Right backwards.
How you doing?
Bobby B, you know, in Oregon next year they're going to be voting on making some marijuana laws better. You're already a medical marijuana state, but they're trying to improve the current laws. Do you know much about that?
No, the only thing I'm reading right now is that they're trying to get the dispensary in our ballot measure 4 is to get state-run dispensaries in, and we're all for that. But like, you know, there's a lot of confusion behind it. You know, people hear that and they think that us medical marijuana patients are going to lose our ability to grow our own, but that's not the case. You know, it's just that it's not real clear in everybody's mind as to, you know, how it works. Kind of like 19, you know, they're kind of throwing a wrench in by saying certain things, maybe making people think that they're going to lose their right for growing and stuff. So, you know, that confusion to work well for the guys that are against us.
Yes, it does. That's the thing. The initiative is written ambiguously enough in certain areas to where there's different interpretations of it. I've read it over and over again. I'm no lawyer. I've had a lawyer read it, and he says we can't be sure how all the local governments are going to interpret these different points. Now, I talked to the people that put it together that are pushing it. Intentions that it was written with, I understand what it intends to do and cover, and I see what they're telling me. And there's Booker T calling on the other line. We'll get him on the show. He's always good to argue with. And so, yeah, there's a lot of opposition. One, they're covered under better rights with the medical laws, but that's not going to change. And also, there's added laws with Prop 19 for getting a minor high, and they don't like that because currently that's not there, but if people want to smoke with an 18, 19-year-old, an adult that's old enough to go die in Iraq but young enough to where they can't drink alcohol, then that's the gray area. A lot of opposition there, but still not enough reason to not pass it through.
Yeah, I'd also like to tell Nikki, too, about she's pharmaceuticals.
I agree.
I just want to tell her about that. Why is that the FDA has Marinol, which is synthetic pot, but yet they won't allow us to have the real thing. I always like to bring that to people's attention, too.
Don't they call that in Texas, they call it spice?
No. I'm talking Marinol that the pharmaceutical,
like
that the doctors prescribe.
Right, it's pure HCG, right?
Marinol. It's Marinol and
it's THC, Nick. It's 100% THC. What Bobby B is saying, as Bruce mentioned earlier, they can't make money off the plant because you can't get a patent on it. So they say marijuana is non-medicinal, and at the same time they bitch that pot now is so much stronger than it was back then. It's up to 14% THC. Ooh, be scared. They make a pill that's 100% THC, Marinol, put a patent on it so they can make money off it, and they shove it down the throats of cancer patients.
Yeah, that's
oh my God.
That's totally asinine, so.
It's hypocritical.
The great thing I always like to let everybody know, too, and I say it every time, is that marijuana has been around for 10,000 years. 10,000 years. At 10,000 years, and in that 10,000 years, not one person has died from it. Not one. More people have died from peanuts. More people have died from garlic.
Oh, yeah.
From what?
You're right.
It's true. From peanuts.
That's right. No, you heard me.
From peanuts?
Peanuts. That's peanuts.
Touch your penis?
Peanuts.
Where's
touch your penis?
Yes. Peanuts.
I think Rob, I think Rob had given me a link one time before about so many the deaths from alcohol and from peanuts and from smoking and blah blah blah, and then it went to marijuana. Zero.
Zero. No, none.
Nada.
Nothing like that, penis breath.
Yeah, that's something that people should know, though. You should be taught that in school. How can it be that 0 people have died as a direct result? It's not toxic. It simply is not toxic enough to cause death, yet it's a Schedule I controlled substance, the most dangerous. You know what? George W. Bush named it the number one enemy in the war on drugs. All bullshit. All bullshit. I'm telling you guys, the more truth that you unfold, the more you'll learn it's bullshit. And now people do have legit complaints if they say, well, I don't know, I don't want everyone to be stoned, I don't want all the kids being high. Okay, but they're saying currently it's easier for kids to get pot than alcohol. I can't confirm that. That's what all the tests are showing. That's what everyone's running with when they're going with numbers right now, because surveys show that's true. We're talking about regulating it like alcohol. How is that going to make it more accessible for the kids? I don't know. So we're gonna talk to some opposition. I got a guy that I'm gonna call here in a minute, but first, I want to go to the next caller. Bobby B, you're gonna hang out, right?
Absolutely, bro.
Bobby B.
All right, Bobby B.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for that call from Oregon. And Nikki Heyman online here. Haven't heard from her in a while. I know that Nikki has avoided the show before when I've talked about marijuana, because, like I said, I brought that too, because I brought it up. This is a show that we do every once in a while, so I don't know if she's calling to talk about it, but if so, I would love to hear her views, or maybe she's calling to talk about something else. The only way to know is to ask her. What's up, Nikki Heyman? Welcome back to RVD Radio.
Hey, Nikki.
Thank you for having me back, Zen Meister. Hey, hello, Nikki Star.
Hi,
Masters. I know you're out there somewhere. SVD, hi. Sabu, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Masters and SVD are run in and out of the room. They're currently out of the room.
Nikki Heyman, motherfucker.
That's right. We don't have a Nikki Heyman, motherfucker. Go on.
Nikki Heyman, motherfucker.
Oh, thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you. No, I'm just chiming in because Ohio is unfortunately a state that is not even discussing the issue. To be honest, there's nothing currently on any of the Ohio ballots they're not even touching the matter. So,
so you say unfortunately, which brings a question to mind. Does that mean that you would like to see Ohio consider utilizing it?
Well, It doesn't really. My problem is it doesn't benefit me. I'm personally not interested.
Right. So is that the way that you vote? Is like what affects you?
Well,
I don't. To be honest, I make enough money. I make enough money to where they're going to tax the shit out of me, and I hate that. But I'm not going to vote on how I can personally save a couple of dollars in taxes. I'm voting on what's better for the whole fucking state, the whole country, because I feel like that's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, right now, since I don't have gobs and gobs of money, and if you're more than welcome to part with some of that in my general direction. I'll be happy to vote any way you want me to. But unfortunately, at the end, it's my bottom line I got to look at, because we've got a bunch of other stuff that they want to take my money with. There's school levies, there's the farm levies. There's a lot of other taxes that they're going to sit here and nickel and dime us with, when the one thing we need to do in this state is create jobs. Now, you could probably tie the marijuana industry into that. I'm sure you can. I'll just sit back and listen to this.
Yeah, well, now this actually, Prop 19 is, to make it simple, it is to control, tax, and regulate marijuana. However, when you read the initiative, there are other, there's places for the local governments to make amendments, and also to set up their own guidelines and regulations for other things, such as one of them is for hemp. One of them allows for the local governments to make plans to use hemp, which currently it's illegal to grow hemp in the United States. All you ever see is maybe a shitty T-shirt or something from hemp, and it's always imported. I mean, when you're talking about our economy being screwed up, that is the stupidest thing, that we don't just grow something here and instead we pay and have it sent in. Another thing is the industries, the jobs that would be created by the legalization and the retail sales of marijuana. If Prop 19 passes here in California, the union is behind it, very happy about the jobs that would be created, and the tax revenue also is to go towards education. What? Okay, it is to go towards education and roads and some of the local community improvements. Currently, they're laying people off. They're laying teachers off. They're cutting back on education because they're broke. The $1.4 billion that could that's been estimated that would be saved in revenues if we tax the current California marijuana market, that would go towards that stuff. And the jobs that would be created by the local businesses being able to apply for marijuana retail licenses, and then after that, the growing and the fees associated with that would raise a lot of money, and it is also intended to create a lot of jobs.
It's just like when I told you they closed my dispensary, that it was walking distance from me. And they had a rally at City Hall up the street from my pad, and I said some words there, too, where I just said, you know what, it doesn't make any sense that you're closing a business that's already produced $200 grand of taxable revenue for the city and employing 25 full-time employees. That's just ridiculous. You want to fix something, fix the roads. Fix the roads, don't fix us. It just doesn't make any sense.
Then I will say this. Then at the end of the day, there is one thing. I'm not in California, obviously, but I think what needs to be done is that at some point all of this has got to be streamlined, because it sounds like you could be in one city in California and there's no problem, and then you could you cross into another city or another county, and the cop's going to look at you slightly different. That I don't find fair. That's kind of like the whole trying to catch up with the rules of all the substances in the professional leagues. That's a bad, that's not the best comparison, but it's about as close as I can get. I think that, it needs to be, it sounds like even in state it's not going to be an even deal. Am I reading that right?
What do you mean by what do you mean by an even deal, Nikki?
I'm saying that,
I think I know what she means. She means if in California, if you go to another county, they're going to look at you different than the L.A. County. Like, say, if you go to Orange County
Yes, it'll be just like alcohol, where there'll be dry counties, there'll be counties, that benefit and ones that don't. Exactly like alcohol. In fact, we're using the exact same regulations that we used to repeal alcohol prohibition back in the 30s. So that's what it is. 21 or over. Currently, by the way, as of October 1st, when Senate Bill 1449 passed, you do not face a record or a court appearance if you have an ounce or less and your 21 years are over. Currently, you pay a $100 ticket and that's it. So we have that. That already is going to save hundreds of millions of dollars for California right there. But if this passes, no confiscation, no fine, you'll be able to possess without shame for making a smarter decision than alcohol or tobacco, and it'll be under the same guidelines. Some people are afraid, well, if this passes, then you're telling me I'm the manager at the factory and I'm losing my rights to be able to fire people that are baked at work and stuff. No, none of that's going to change. You still can't be high at work and not be able to do your job, or you'll still be able to get fired. What they cannot punish you for is for using cannabis at home on your own time, and then when you come to work, it's in your system and your piss or something. They can't fuck with you for that anymore if this passes. And also, if you own property and you don't want people to smoke on your property, that's still your right too. Just like you can say no dogs allowed, that's your shit. That's your property. So it's not like we're backing people into a corner saying, hey, now that it's legal, it's all up in your face. By the way, Nikki Starr, I looked at MPP's website here, MPP.org, Marijuana Policy Project, and I looked up Ohio, and you actually do have a medical marijuana bill, HB 478. A poll shows 73% of Ohioans support medical marijuana. And this, you should look that up yourself because it's a big paragraph and a report from Representative Dan Stewart. He joined the bill as the first-time co-sponsor to a medical marijuana bill. So there's something here, and you can email your local congressman and show what you think about it. Marijuana laws in Ohio. It's a decriminalized state. Possession of less than 100 grams is a minor misdemeanor. That means you can only be punished with a fine of up to $150 without the possibility of jail time. However, possession of drug paraphernalia, such as a marijuana pipe, is a fourth-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 30 days in jail, a $250 fine. I'm guessing from experience that could also include rolling papers and even a High Times magazine as paraphernalia. MPP.
Might let you off.
Not from my experience. So that's on MPP.org, and you can look up your state, anybody's state. The medical marijuana bill introduced in Ohio Senate was June 3rd, 2008. Let's see, a new medical marijuana bill in Ohio, April 12th, 2010, so that wasn't that long ago. So check that out, Nikki, because a lot of people don't really know what's going on in their own government when it comes to this. You kind of got to go out of your way. Or, of course, you can always belong to MPP's newsletter. They'll keep you posted on it. We've got a bunch of callers, so I want to keep the show going and pick out another caller. I don't know, do we... appreciate your call, Nikki, and appreciate, as always, furthering the conversation on this. I'm sorry. If you got something to add, go ahead. I'm taking Chris from L.A., but the request failed. I've never had Blog Talk Radio say the request failed when I try and take a call. Oh. That's awesome. Go ahead, Nikki. Closing comment.
No, just, I'm always glad to be on your show, and I apologize that I haven't been around. Can I plug something real quick? Glad to have you back.
Glad to have you back, Nikki.
Thanks, Rob.
Nikki Starr, we got Bruce Jingles, we got Bobby B, we got Sabu. Booker said to call him. I should call him. First I'm going to hear from Brian, Idaho, Mr. Overkill. What up, Brian?
Hey, dude, not much, man.
Right on. Well, thanks for calling in, man. Are you calling to contribute to our conversation?
Hell yeah, I am. You know why?
Right.
And first off, let me put it this way. I am a huge wrestling fan. I've watched ever since I was knee-high to an elephant, whatever you want to call it.
Are you fat?
That's my elephant.
I honestly, really appreciate what you guys do. You guys put it all on the line every night. Thanks. To entertain us crazy fans, yeah.
Well, appreciate that, Brian. That is what we do.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
So are you calling from Idaho?
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a pretty lame state, man. That HGH stuff you're talking about earlier is called haze. They recently just made that illegal here.
What? And the K2? The K2?
Yeah, it's that. They have many different kinds.
Spice, right? You talking about the spice people smoke because it's like legal marijuana?
Yeah, that stuff just gets you high. It still have the medical effects like marijuana.
Ocean 2 just recently.
Yeah, I tried some of that. I tried some of that in Texas. It's not the same.
I tried it in Michigan. It's not the same, but it's pretty good if you keep smoking it.
Yeah, but
it don't have the medical. It doesn't have the medical benefits like marijuana though. It just gets you high.
No, it doesn't. I had corneal transplants a couple of years ago, and to reduce the pressure, they want the pressure down, you know. And me personally, they gave me like all the freaking other crap, painkillers and stuff. But me personally, I just smoked weed and it kept it down pretty well.
Your blood pressure?
Yeah, the pressure in your eyes.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
so
right.
yeah, marijuana has
yeah.
It has a lot of medical uses. The thing I don't understand and I don't get is, tobacco, man. I mean, and I'll admit this, I am a smoker.
But there's no medical use for tobacco.
Well, no, there isn't. It's actually stupid.
Yeah.
When I look at it, I believe in free will. Yeah, but I believe in free will. And it's kind of like, you know what, the moral thing to me is if the government really cared, they would take the nicotine out of it, they'd take all the other crap out of it, you know what I'm saying?
Too, yeah.
And they would make it just pure tobacco.
They don't care.
You got the free will. They're making money off of it. You know what I'm saying?
But it's also population control.
Oh, yeah, of course. And alcohol itself, man, I've seen so many people die from it. I've had a friend that's been hit by a drunk driver and he's dead now, but it causes a lot of crap in families, and weed, I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. It's, to me, not really as a bill people claim it to be. You cannot overdose from it,
Well, the people that were
relaxing.
Well, luckily, the old people that were really anti-weed, like the reefer madness bullshit and all that happy horse shit, they're dying off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Cigarette smoke, probably.
Yeah, they're dying off from cigarette smoke. They're dying off from fucking alcohol. You know what I mean?
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, that is one perspective, but realistically, you're hearing about all these arguments now with Prop 19, Bruce, so they're still very much there. There's still people that carry those same agendas to the table of debate right now, and although they sound ridiculous and silly to us, people believe them. They're scare tactics, and they work. Brian's right, people consider the social cost. That's brought up all the time. Maybe we could, if you weigh out the money we make in taxes versus the social cost, I just don't think it would equal out. What social costs are they talking about? Because it doesn't impact society like alcohol. I mean, alcohol is associated with every violent crime. And basically, I know that driving while smoking marijuana is going to be looked at as irresponsible. I'm not going to try and win that argument. That's too big of a giant step. But people that smoke know there's a big difference. You can smoke while you're driving, and when you're drinking and driving, it is not the fucking same thing at all. People that smoke marijuana regularly, people that are functional smokers, they can do anything while they're smoking. There is a guy that's brave enough to go on TV with it. He's a day trader, and he says he smokes 2 joints when he wakes up. He smokes a joint on his way to work and then 2 at lunch. And we've seen this guy all the time. What's his name, Rosenthal? Not Ed Rosenthal. He's not the grower, but he's the guy, one of the very few, I think there's 5 remaining patients that have federal weed sent to them, left over from a program that was shut down in the 90s, also hypocritical while they're arresting people. They're also sending, they're still, but anyway, the point is the society costs, a lot of that is determined by people that they say need rehab, and that's all bullshit too. If you're a kid and you get busted with pot, it's mandatory they send you to rehab. If you're an adult and you get busted with a pot, they'll say, Bruce Jingles, you're looking at 6 months in the county jail, or if you take this fucking drug rehab course for 30 days, okay, then you're good, and I'll let you off the record. Now, what are you going to do? It's in the plea, it's in the deal. Of course you're going to go, and then they turn to the people and they say, well, if pot's so harmless, then how come hundreds and thousands of people need drug rehab for it because they're addicted to it, and it's all bullshit. That's how they get their information.
Okay, right.
So we're here exposing it. That's what we're doing. And did we already go to Chris from L.A.? Chris from L.A., you're on RVD.
What's going on, RVD?
How are you, dude?
All right. What's going on, Sabu?
Hey, what's up, Chris?
Nothing much. Real quick before I get into the topic, man, Sabu, you still got it, brother. You were tearing it up with Van Damme at the pay-per-view a couple months back, man.
Thank
you. You're insane.
Anyway,
man. Yeah, Hardcore.
I'm in pain.
Hardcore Justice just released on DVD, by the way. Sabu and I got our copy last night down in Florida at TNA, right, Sabu? You got your copy?
Yeah, I just forgot about I'm going to watch it.
Right on. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, about the topic, man. It's I was at the gym in the sauna talking to this gentleman about it, and it was like we were talking about the whole taxation and everything, and it's kind of, I don't know, I was kind of worried about it, but at the same time I'm kind of not. And I was listening to what you guys are saying about like the whole like anti-marijuana, people back in the day. My mom, she's totally against it, and shit, I'm 29 years old. I got a bunch of kids, and I've been smoking pot for years, and I watch my mom drink her liver away, and she gets mad at me for smoking pot, but when she gets sick from drinking, it's kind of, I don't get it, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and that's the
acceptable
preconditioning that society does to people is they look at people like they're smoking, when they're smoking cannabis, they look at them like they're doing something really bad, when in fact they're killing themselves with poison at the same time, and it's just, that's why I fight for the truth, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do drink, but I mean, I quit smoking cigarettes, and, I smoke pot before I go to work. I work at Whole Foods, so I go in at like 4:30 in the morning. I smoke at 4 in the morning on my way to work.
Well, you're an adult. I think as an adult, you should have the right to choose any of the above. So you're voting Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
So we'll see you at Whole Foods. Hey, Nikki, will you do me a favor and call the lawyer, dude?
Yep. Did you already give me his number? That's Jeffrey, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
This guy.
His last name is Tahir? Jeffrey?
Yes, Jeffrey
Tahir.
Lemasters Tahir. I don't know why he's got 3 names.
Well, I'll just call him Mr. Tahir because I don't want to be rude. But I'm dialing him right now.
Oh, Masters.
Good, because I have questions.
Yeah, Chris Masters in the living room? He's afraid of RVD Radio?
What?
Is he hiding, baby?
He is hiding.
See,
but we love him,
Masters.
WWE can be rude, though. They can be assholes. They'll say, Chris was doing the show on pot, man. Let's suspend him, or let's start making him wear a dress on TV.
Yeah.
Believe me, they're that cool.
Hopefully they don't do that.
He's not participating, but, from a non-smoker's view.
Yeah, he's a non-smoker now. Just for the record, he's a non-smoker now.
Hello, Mr. Tahir.
Yes.
Okay, yes. This is RVD calling from RVD Radio. Appreciate you talking to us tonight. I got got a bunch of callers that are listening, and got comedian Bruce Jingles, who I think you might know.
How are you doing?
I think I've met a couple times.
Yes, because I have met you at the comedy club, and this is the first time talking to you about this subject. My understanding is that not only are you anti-Prop 19, but also because we talked about debating on the marijuana issue before 19 came about, so my assumption is that you're also anti-legalizing marijuana. I want to give you the time to explain your argument, because obviously my whole argument comes from the opposite side of the fence.
So let's do this, okay?
Right.
let's do this, Rob. Let's let him just talk and not interrupt him until the end. Do you know what I mean? Because we're all going to want to just keep going, but. So let's listen to him.
Sounds good, Nikki.
Okay, all right. Okay, are you ready?
Sounds good.
Ding.
I am.
Thank you.
Okay, go.
All right, should I go?
Okay, yeah. So Tuesday we're voting on legalizing, taxing, and regulating marijuana, Jeffrey. And I believe that you probably won't be voting yes on Prop 19. I'd like to know what your stance is on it. I'd also like to know what you would tell the listeners so that they could understand your view on what legalizing marijuana would do to society.
All right, let's go three basic positions. And the first and most important, I think, is Prop 19 itself is not constitutional. So it really doesn't matter what we do. I don't think Prop 19 is actually going to take any effect. And the reason is this. The United States Constitution has a supremacy clause. It says the laws of the United States are supreme over the laws of the states. And since the federal government, under the Interstate Commerce Clause, has banned certain drugs, finding them to be dangerous, marijuana being one of them, if we pass a law that's in contradiction to that, it violates the federal law, it violates the supremacy clause, and it really should not stand under the courts. So even if I was in favor of legalization, I'd be against this proposition because I think we would need to work on a federal level rather than a state level. Now,
okay, well, since you paused there, let me just ask you, don't the federal laws change by the states first making the move? Isn't that how alcohol prohibition was repealed, was actually state by state, and in fact probably slavery and every other major federal change?
Well, for an amendment to be passed to the Constitution, it has to be approved by all of the states. But until such time as it is, we can't actually pass the law just as state law. The states can work on trying to change the federal law, trying to change the Constitution, or work through our representatives with Congress to change the national law. But as long as the national law is as it is, the states don't have the right to make a law that contraindicates that. Such as the abortion position, they cannot. It doesn't matter how many states want to ban it; they can't because the Constitution, as interpreted by the Supreme Court, says they don't have the right to do that. So even if we all agreed that's what we want to do, the states can't do it until the federal government gives us permission to. And so we're in a situation where we could spend quite a bit of money in litigation, making a bunch of lawyers. That makes me happy, rich, without actually making any change. And when our state is in such dire economic straits, it doesn't make much sense to just open a new legal can of worms. So that really, I think that's the biggest unifying position that we should all have. If you are in favor of legalizing, which I'm not, if you are in favor of legalizing, though, let's go about this in the most proper way where you're actually going to get it legalized rather than in a way that's just going to waste a whole bunch of state resources, which we don't have.
So then do you suggest that one person, goes to the Supreme Court who's sick and marijuana is helping them, and they go to the Supreme Court and fight for it to be legal?
Well, let's get this straight. We're not talking about medical marijuana here because California already has a medical marijuana law.
Right, but that's not a federal law. But that's
that is not a federal law, and I would say that you would have a much stronger position, and you may gain some support from people on my side if you're saying, look, we're talking about changing federally to get federal protection on the medical issue through proper prescription channels. And I can tell you, as far as I am against marijuana, against legalization, and against California's medical marijuana law, the way it is and the way it's been enforced, I would be in favor of a federal prescription-based medical marijuana in which we actually follow the same prescription procedures as we do for every other medication. Unfortunately, California has a bizarre version in which prescription procedures are not followed, and it's not ordinary doctors in the ordinary course issuing for medically based reasons. It's internet-based doctors saying, yeah, she has a headache once a week, and prescribing her to go to the local dealer. It's
but they,
not what it was supposed to do, but it is.
They do that in Florida with OxyContin and hydrocodone, and they're, you know what I mean? This is big business. So. Yep,
you're absolutely right, and that's something that should be addressed separately. That's not what we're addressing right now. We're addressing marijuana, but I would agree with you. That is something that needs to be dealt with and addressed because that's killing people in Florida. That's destroying lives and killing people, and it's much worse than the marijuana issue here.
I love that I've educated Nikki so much that she's actually jumping in and fighting for me.
I'm sorry, but why do you not like marijuana? Like, can you give me, besides these court reasons, which I kind of agree with?
Right, I definitely, and I start with the court reason because I think it's something that we can all unify, whatever side we are on the marijuana use itself. But my problem is, and I know you've heard and have argued against the slippery slope argument. You start with legalizing marijuana. Where do you stop? Which and I understand that your counter argument is you make marijuana illegal, and where do you stop on going through the different herbs and whatever? Cloves have their own set of problems as well as whatever else. But I do think we start with a dangerous slippery slope, that we do start down a road and we don't know where we're going to end. I have, because of my practice, I practice a lot of family law, and I have literally seen families that are being torn apart by the use of marijuana, by the effects of a large number of dangerous drugs, marijuana being one of the chief among them, because it's so much more accessible than the others. It becomes the chief among them.
Alcoholism? You don't work with
I've
people
seen
who
alcohol.
are torn apart with alcohol?
I agree with you. I have seen families torn apart with alcohol. Again, we're not addressing the legalization, the illegalization and legalization of alcohol or any control laws there. We're addressing marijuana, and I'm telling you what I've seen in the courtroom on that particular issue. We could address those other issues there, and not implying by any means that I would argue in favor of making all alcohol illegal. I'd like to drink a glass of wine here and there myself, but I am telling you what I have seen as far as marijuana goes with the families that I've dealt with in family law, with the children who have been harmed, not because there's marijuana that they have access to, but because their parents are being torn apart and their families are being torn out from under them. And that I've actually witnessed, been a party to, represented, and attempt to fix these families. To continue down the legal analysis, there's one other real large legal issue that I think needs to be considered. We have the supremacy issue. We have the issue of the potential slippery slope. We have the issue of the torn apart families. And then we have the very interesting issue that right now, marijuana is illegal. People are getting it through illegal sources. And whatever dangers they have, there's studies showing that it may lead to mental disease. We have studies showing that it may lead to other issues. I mean, there's several different studies, and we can argue the basis of those studies. But let's get to this point, that if those studies are correct, and assume with me for the point of this argument, assume that they are. If they're correct, at this point, with it being illegal, somebody who uses marijuana and has all of these dire effects really has nobody to blame but themselves. However, through legalization, we have recognized providers of it, and the same person who either suffers these dire consequences as a result of marijuana or simply claims to becomes another one of these multi-million-dollar plaintiffs in a case very similar to those tobacco cases. And what we've done is we've, again, increased litigation, and we've harmed serious companies. At this point, really, honestly, a guy who has dire effects based on taking marijuana, whether it's true or untrue, can't sue the neighborhood dealer. It's not going to happen. He's never going to be able to get that into court. But if the neighborhood dealer is Merck rather than, John, there will be a lawsuit. There will be billions of dollars spent in courtrooms. And it's not going to have any positive outcomes It's simply, again, I don't mind lining the pockets of attorneys. I am one, but that's what it's going to do. On both ends of the extreme, I see it simply lining the pockets of attorneys, and in the middle, I see nothing positive resulting from it.
Okay. Well, I don't think I've heard you say anything that we haven't already talked about on the show today, as a matter of fact, and we've addressed all this, so I appreciate your input without me attacking point by point. But so for conversational sakes, I will point out the first thing I think of is if anybody reports usage reaction from cannabis, with all of my knowledge and experience with it, if somebody reports something that I know not to be a regular reaction to cannabis, like somebody freaks out and feels suicidal or whatever, it's something that most of us don't believe you could really feel from marijuana. If somebody did react in such a way, my first instinct tells me, you know what? It's too bad that guy had to get the pot on the streets. Like, who knows what was in that pot, what it was laced with, what it was sprayed with. And besides that, who knows what kind of pot it was anyway? Was it a really strong sativa? Was it a mild indica? Was it a hybrid? Because those are all factors. And I liken it to giving somebody a wine cooler and then giving them a drink of straight absolute vodka and seeing if maybe they get a different result from one or the other. With regulation, meaning that we actually know where the weed is grown, how it's grown, what the weed is, what to expect from it, I believe that would help eliminate that problem of people freaking out from getting something they don't even know what the hell it is that they're getting and basing their reaction and their opinion of marijuana on that one-time usage and oddball reaction. Who knows what they took, but I would ask you, Jeff. Okay, I'll give you time if you want to talk about that.
Sure, if I can, real brief. There's two issues. I agree with you that what they're getting on the street is laced, and we don't have any control over it. And it would sound beautiful to be able to have some way of restricting and regulating. Unfortunately, with the black market already being so strong, if we legalize it and regulate it, it's just going to be going back to black market. People aren't going to be buying it through the legal streams.
So you think that people in general would rather break the law? They would rather break the law than buy it at the store and be able to pay tax on it?
Since it'll be cheaper and they won't have to deal with a lot of the rigmarole of getting it legally, then I think that's a definite possibility. Of course, we can't know for sure until it happens. But I did want to address the idea of freaking out and versus what I was saying on the studies that came out of New Zealand last year on the mental disease. We're not talking about somebody who takes it and because it's laced with something feels once, oh, I feel suicidal while I'm on it. We're talking about the long-term effects of it compounded over many years of regular usage. The one-time recreational user, I think we can all agree there is not a single study that shows that the one-time recreational user has an increased danger from cannabis alone. I would grant you that argument, but the studies are just now coming in on the long-term effects of regular usage, and that's where I think the dangers are. Notice with cigarettes, it was many years after cigarettes became very easy to obtain on a regular basis that we first started realizing what they do over time.
No, that's because the corporations lied. They knew exactly what it did, and they hid it. Okay, you're comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing apples to oranges. Not one person has ever died of marijuana overdose ever. Not one person.
We've won Nikki over for sure, if nothing else.
I know.
Nikki's
a fighter today.
I'm just saying.
And again, you're right. You're right.
So Prohibition, it took Prohibition. This is just like what we went through with Prohibition. It was on the black market. People thought you slippery slope, which I hate that term, just so you know, because it's a fear-mongering term. Oh, the slippery slope of whatever. You know what? No. How about the optimism that it's going to help people? Okay? You can twist it any way that you want.
Again, we have to separate. You want me to separate the argument of marijuana versus the argument of tobacco? Then I want you to separate the argument of marijuana under the Proposition 19 terminology versus a federal medical marijuana through proper prescription policies. Those are two very different things. And if we're talking about helping people with cancer, like my father, who's dying of cancer right now, and getting a federal prescription policy where you get it through pharmaceutical companies through a prescription process, I think that's very different than talking about Proposition 19, which is overarching legalization. I think that's a very different issue, and I think we can't argue those two side by side.
But let me tell you this, all right? And I am almost 100% positive about this, and then I'll be quiet, Rob. I know I'm sorry to take over your show, but I don't smoke marijuana. If it's legal, I will not smoke marijuana. I don't. That's just not I don't like it, okay? I don't drink, all right? So whether it's legal or not, the people who smoke it and choose to use it for medical reasons or because they like to smoke a joint just like you like to have a glass of wine, they're going to be the ones that buy it. There's not going to be an inundation of all these people going to buy it now because it's legal. That's not going to happen.
No, I believe you're correct. I believe you are right on that. But I do believe that in a situation, and a simple example from the family law courtroom, when we have two parents arguing over custody of a child, and one is a regular cannabis user and is leading a specific lifestyle, and the other is not, at this time, with the way the laws are now, I can use that to enable the other parent, the non-cannabis user, to obtain custody. On legalization, I cannot even bring that in.
But why should it be an issue? I know parents, it's just like drinking. You come home at night and you drink a six-pack. You could still be a good parent. And that's it.
I actually know somebody whose baby was taken before the baby was even born. Like while the mom was giving birth in Pennsylvania, the doctors informed her that they were going to be taking the baby because she had marijuana in her system. And they took the baby. Oh. She gave birth knowing that they were going to take her baby from her. And then it was we've talked about this on the radio show before because the guy, the dad is a wrestler. He was in that movie, The Wrestler. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that put the staples all over his face or whatever. But that was his. What's his name? Do you know?
Oh,
Butcher, Necro Butcher. Yeah. So anyway, that was his story that was going on at the time when I wrestled him in Japan. He was fighting the courts trying to get his baby back, and it was crazy because the mom had marijuana in her system. So if Prop 19 does pass, also it'll help enforce better updated regulation systems and testing systems because right now, you know, in your urine, if you smoke heavily, it could be in your system still, 35 days later. You got to do coordination tests, stuff like that to find out if someone is too impaired or not for the job at hand. That's the only fair way to do it.
RVD, I
yes.
want to interject real quick. So what we're saying is if people are responsible about the weed, because you just regulate it like alcohol. You got to carry it in the trunk of your car. There are rules.
I wanted to point out, and Jeffrey, I wondered what you thought about the fact that you could handpick the test, to get these results of long-term usage, because I can just as easily pull up tests like the largest case study ever done on marijuana usage that showed that long-term usage, even smoking heavily every day, has no link towards lung cancer.
That's and I've read that same test, and I believe that it looks like it was a very carefully done double-blind study, and it does look like it has no links to lung cancer. But that doesn't answer the question of does it have links to mental disease, which is the study out of New Zealand from last year that indicates that it does have links to mental disease. So it doesn't have links to one, it does have links to the other.
I'm sorry, is that the same study where I read that it showed possible benefits on Alzheimer's patients for the same reason?
Right.
Yes, it did, for the exact same reason, because it had the mental the mental disease problems, which is another reason why I've got to say we have to separate the federal prescription through a proper prescription channel from straight legalization across the board, because there are recognized positive effects on Alzheimer's patients, on cancer patients. That there's no argument there. There are multiple double-blind studies that prove those facts.
Although the feds, there is an argument with the feds. I mean, the feds still say it's non-medicinal. We can't ignore that. That's what has to change, and I agree with you on that that's what needs to change. Although I don't think we go storm the White House to do it. I think we do it grassroots, no pun intended. I think we do it we the people speak, and we vote, and we decide, and we show with the majority this is what we want. I think that's how we make the federal change. I would like to ask you to elaborate, if you would, Jeffrey, on the dangers of marijuana, and more specifically on the family harm that was done, because you said you've seen firsthand families being torn apart, and I'm suspect that a lot of that is unnecessary stress due to prejudice on the drug. People in the family don't want another family to do it, so they hate them for them, they shame them for using it, and they treat them as if they're doing heroin or acid or meth or coke, possibly because they're taught that it is the same thing by the DEA. And so I think that most of the harm and tearing apart of the families is mostly done by a lack of knowledge of what they're really dealing with. If you could, please comment on that.
In general, I see a lot of the time where we take a drug, and you can choose your drug, whether it be cocaine, whether it be alcohol, whether it be tobacco, or whether it be marijuana. And one of the hallmarks of the way it changes a family dynamic is the person who's into regular usage. And again, your one-time recreational user is not going to fit into this paradigm, but your regular user begins to focus more on that item than on the care for the family. And I am freely admitting that your alcoholic is just as dangerous that way. Your regular cigarette user is just as dangerous that way. They're focusing on something else that's occupying to the point where they put their children in harm's way, where they put their children in danger, where they leave a box, and I'm sorry you can't see the size I'm showing you with my hands because we're on the radio and over the phone. But
we'd love to do this again for my website, and I welcome you to bring the slides then.
But the box was about 2 feet long and about 6 inches width. So 2 feet high, 6 inches width, 6 inches depth, full, totally full, sitting on the car seat next to 4-year-old child for the pickup and drop off on visitation. The child's holding it for Mama, and Mama was definitely using probably more than just marijuana during the drives. And when I see things like that, when I see things like that and say, you know what, I cannot use that in court, that child's going to be in danger. And
now, is it legal to drive with the kid holding a 12-pack of alcohol?
No, it's not.
Exactly.
Right, so it won't be with marijuana either because we're using the exact same regulations.
Exactly.
Right,
and
it's harder. Let me give you
and
an example.
Quiet, staff. Let the man talk.
Let me go down to the famous the gangster Al Capone.
Yes.
We all know he laundered money.
Prohibition, just like the gangsters now or the Mexican cartel, they make their profit off of prohibition. The whole prohibition causes the criminal market. So that's a great comparison. Let's think about Al Capone.
It's true.
Kennedy.
I'm not going to argue with you there, but follow me for a minute. Al Capone was a gangster. He was involved in multiple illegal rings, laundering money. He was the direct cause of the deaths of multiple individuals. He was, the mafia man of his time, right? And he was arrested and he was thrown in jail. And what was he thrown in jail for?
Tax evasion.
Prostitution. Tax evasion.
couldn't catch him on anything else. They caught him on tax evasion.
Right.
And got a similar situation. When we got guys that we can't catch on anything else, we got something that we can prove against them. And that's in the situation the specific situation I talked about with this woman and her treatment of her daughter. As the law as it currently is, I'm able to throw marijuana against her and say, you know what, I can prove that she had that marijuana there, and I can take her kid from her, and I can give her kid to the dad who's going to take care of her, my client.
Right. A good reason why I think the laws should change on that. And isn't it strange, though, there was no alcohol taxation system that Al Capone could have even subscribed to. That's what we're trying to do, is make it so that people who grow marijuana, people who sell marijuana, people who buy marijuana deal with the business, even people who just use it, so that we're trying to provide a taxation system that isn't already there. Isn't that a good thing?
I'm intrigued because a lot of the people that I meet that are pro legalization are like me, very far right, and a lot of them are libertarians. And so I always am wondering why people that are against taxation in every other situation are in favor of taxation here. And an unfair tax is an unfair tax is an unfair tax. Sales tax is dramatically an unfair tax, as is income tax. And I'm not going to change my position on supporting or lack of support for a drug because an unfair tax is going to be imposed on it. If it's going to be legal, it's got to be legal without the tax. I'm not in favor of taxing the thing. I am just as much against taxing it as I'm against legalizing it.
Why aren't you in favor of taxing it when we're in a major recession right now? When we need anything to help out this country?
I'm confused.
Because, right, what I know, I just threw a huge wrench in this from every side, didn't I? Because
if you don't mind me interjecting real quick, because I mean, look, we're in dire straits right now as a country, okay? And
we are. We
got to use anything we have to save our ass, okay? So if you tax,
we've got to use anything that's going to work.
I think taxing marijuana would work.
There is
Why
no
not? You tax smoke, you tax cigarettes, you tax alcohol, for God's sake.
Right.
Why not tax marijuana?
It's like a luxury tax or a sin tax. They call it a sin tax some places. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just, we're still making the same call on it. We're still calling it this huge problem. We're still recognizing that it's dangerous. And we're doing that in the form of this taxation.
How is it dangerous? How is it dangerous?
If we're calling it a sin tax, we're making a value statement right there. We're saying it's a luxury. If we're saying it's all of these things that we can tax higher than other items, we're making that same value statement. We're making that same call.
But then that's the choice of the person purchasing it, okay?
Mm-hmm. Isn't it founded on the ability to choose?
You're not forced to smoke marijuana. You're not forced to drink alcohol. You're not forced on the sin tax.
Look, you're not forced to drink Coca-Cola either. You're not forced to do anything. Listen, Jeffrey, I appreciate you being on. So I got one more question for you, and then I want to continue this on RVD TV, which we'll set up. By the way, I just posted RVD TV's 100th episode up at robvandam.com, so if you guys get bored enough, check it out. There's new photo albums up there from all the recent matches. Bunch of crap to look at. Here's my question. It goes along with exactly what we're talking about here. So if we don't tax it and we don't control it and regulate it, is the other option to continue pouring tons of money into arresting people and fighting it, or do you actually think that one day we can eradicate marijuana? Because right now it's bigger than ever. It's our number one cash crop, and the estimated $14 billion in revenue that's being circulated in California right now is something that's not going to disappear if we don't legalize it. All the problems associated with keeping it outlawed, the gangsters, the people being killed, the dirty, street crime, all that is the option to continue going down the same path that we are and to not try and bring it into our system?
And you're going to continue to make money for the people you're trying to fight.
Right.
I would say that we need to come up with a better strategy for attempting to eradicate it, but I still believe that the proper goal of our government is the attempt to eradicate rather than the attempt to accept.
You have to be kidding me.
They're not going to eradicate anything they're using right now.
Wow.
Our government is on drugs and having sex with White House pages.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they'll succeed, but I think the fact that you can't succeed in something that you're attempting to do does not mean that that's not what we should be attempting to do. We may not be able to get to zero usage, but we can certainly stem the tide, and we can decrease the usage through fighting it and through attempting to continue.
Is that based on history?
It's not happening.
It doesn't seem to be based on history since it's more prevalent now than it ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by the way, for people listening in California, they're saying that approximately 8% of Californians smoke marijuana every day. That's a lot. It's part of our culture out here. Not all of us, but again, you don't have to be a user to have an opinion on this matter. You know, we've brought up a lot of interesting facts, both sides of the arguments. And, Jeffrey, I appreciate it. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to stay on the line. We only got like another 20 minutes, which means 10 minutes before Nikki's going to cut me off because I always go too long. But I got a couple of other callers that I want to get to, and like I said, we're going to continue this talk and have it on videotape at robvandam.com. So, are you want to hang out, or do you want to hang out, or should we let you go, Jeffrey? It's up to you.
Sure, I can hang out if you'd like me to hang out.
Okay, cool. Somebody might have some questions for you. Right now I'm calling Scott Schwartz, Big Scott Schwartz, the actor from, how come I can't remember?
Story?
No, Big Scott Schwartz, not Little Scott Schwartz.
Okay.
Yes, hello?
Scott Schwartz. Ocean's 11, wrong side of town. Big, scary, 7-foot bald dude. Harold and Kumar. No, he's not Harold and Kumar. That's the other guy. Don't say that. He's going to be pissed. That's Randall Reeder. We didn't say that, Scott. How are you, Scott? Are you still there?
You know what?
Pakalika's on.
Ray Charles did not find me to be scary, and neither did Stevie Wonder.
All right. Listen, Scott, would it be correct to say that you work for the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir.
Would it be correct to say that you are actually a patrolling sheriff that actually goes out and deals with people on the streets, like giving them tickets, arresting them, stuff like that?
Yes, sir, but I haven't caught up with you yet, and that's what I really want.
All righty. Well, I'm glad you caught up with me on the show here. We're talking about Proposition 19, and I just want to hear from you your opinion on it, based on what you know to be the problems, where the police resources are going, based on anything, whatever you've heard about it. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What do you think, Scotty? Hit me.
Well, you know, actually, the bottom line is that a lot of people feel that it could save the state and generate some income into the state. And you know what? I don't think anything's going to change. I think I told you this before. I think that when you sit down and you look at it in an abstract way, people that haven't tried pot before are not going to run out and try it because it's there and it's legal.
Right.
It's not going to encourage any kind of more use of that. You know, and we discussed the intrinsic values of it before anyway. It's what do you want to see, a guy taking 100 Oxycontin a day or smoking pot to alleviate the pain? And that, that's an easy answer. Any idiot, that doesn't have his head up his ass will tell you that the latter is the better one, rather than...
Now, from a certain perspective, any adult usage could be considered medicinal. I believe that to be 95% true. Some guys are idiots, and they're just trying to get fucked up. They're going to stand on their head while they're doing gravity bong hits, and they're drinking shots, whatever. But for the most part, what is getting high if it's not relieving stress? And as an adult doing that responsibly, it seems to me like you should have the right to do that, and especially more when there's dangerous drugs out there being sold over the counter.
You know what, Rob? You don't need pot or OxyContin or anything for that matter to get high. You got morons out there spraying Krylon into an empty milk bottle and inhaling it. And
you got the uppers out there too.
With their mustaches on. You know, and it's ridiculous. They they don't have the concept of responsibility, and that's the bottom line.
Well, let's not legalize that. So you don't think there'll be a change in usage? Two questions. One, do you think there'll be any change in our economy if Proposition 19 was to pass? And two, do you think there would be a change in child usage if Prop 19 was to pass?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, a lot of opposers are afraid that children would have more accessibility if Prop 19 was to pass. I feel the other way. If it's regulated and controlled and sold like alcohol, I don't think it would be easier. All reports show it's easier for kids to get marijuana than alcohol now. Don't know if that's true, but that's what all the tests are saying. The opposers, a lot of people, as a matter of fact, on The View today, that was the conservative Elizabeth, that was her argument was she thinks, it should probably be okay, but she's afraid that kids will have easier access to it if it becomes legalized. Do you think
not so? Not if the clinics are checking their IDs and stuff, if it's 21, if the clinics are doing their job.
Do you agree, Scott?
Nobody's going to have any added extra access to it. It's nonsense. If it's controlled the way they say it's going to be controlled, they'll control it. If they don't, it'll be repealed. The bottom line is, for every action, there's a reaction. And if people don't react to the whole thing in a responsible manner, they're going to turn around and they're going to abolish it. So through the course of time, that's exactly what they've done, and I think this will be no exception. I think that really, you're talking about a minuscule thing here and something that people shouldn't get their panties in a bunch over. And
so it's also something we shouldn't spend a whole lot of money on maintaining as far as, fighting this, right?
Well,
and by saying it's lowest priority, you can't also ruin people's lives at the same time saying we shouldn't care about it.
Well, they sit down and they outlaw gay marriage. And you know what? People came along and they didn't like it. They didn't like the fact that they voted on it fair and square and said no more gay marriage. And you know what? Now the gays went and they started this whole rigmarole, and now the Supreme Court's going to be taking a look at this.
Oh, what is that?
And that's going to,
hold on a second. That was Jeffrey.
We lost Jeffrey? Okay.
But anyway, that goes to show you what kind of crowd I draw. Anyway, the bottom line is, when you look at it, people are spending millions and millions of dollars to go back over what we've already voted on and gotten into play, and they're wasting money. They're throwing it away, and that's why this state right now, the state of California, is a state of bankruptcy, and it's in a bad way, and that's why I have a truck that's going on 2 years old, and I paid $500 for the registration on it. And I just checked on what it will cost in Louisiana, and it's $54 for 2 years. What's wrong with this picture?
Right, dude. Well, so let me ask you, if you don't think there's going to be any increased usage, you don't think people that don't already smoke are going to be turned on to it, and you think the same people that smoke are still going to smoke, do you think there'll be any adjustment in our economy? Because the estimations are that just taxing the current market that's out there could bring in $1.4 billion. You think there's any, we should, if it was to pass, do you think that it would, even without other people being turned on to it, you think that, because that's the thing, we're not trying to get other people to smoke, we're saying they're already smoking, let's tax it. Do you think that would work? Maybe our budget would be helped out a little bit?
You know what, Rob? I'm a guy, as you know, who is virgin to drugs. I never smoked, I never drank, I never did any kind of drugs. Every day on a daily basis I go into a liquor store to get an iced tea, and I pass by Bud Light and Coors Light and every other alcohol you can name, hard liquor behind the counter, and you know what? I have no urge to drink. And you know what? The people are not going to start smoking pot because it's not available. You know, it's ridiculous. They're not going to be able to have access to it, and it's just people that don't want to do it won't do it. And yes, it's supposed to be bringing in all these amounts of money into the state, and I hope it does because they need it. Whoever's going to be in the office of governor after next week, whether it's Jerry Brown or whether it's Meg Whitman, personally, I don't trust either one of those people. And I think that the state's going to have another long 4 years, and that amounts to further in debt. So you know what? If it helps the state, if it pulls the state out of these budget crisis, all the power to them. It's not going to make one bit of difference.
Right on. Well, hopefully it will. And, unfortunately, neither one of our gubernatorial candidates are for Prop 19. But, again, power to the people, So,
which is weird because I remember when
Kushinator.
I remember when Jerry Brown smoked weed in the 70s. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, can't trust any of these people, and I'm just, Rob will tell you I'm a
Your call has been forwarded,
and a conservative up the ass, and I just whatever it is, it's right and wrong, and there's certain things that are very wrong with the operation of the state, and there's very few things that are right, and that's the bottom line. And we're professional wrestlers, and we know what it is and how it is, and we played politics before. Every night you get into the ring, you play politics and professional wrestling. We know what it is, and you know what? It's ridiculous, and people are playing politics in California, but it's with our money and our children's future, because our children are going to be paying these debts off for centuries.
Our grandchildren will be paying these debts off.
Yes, exactly. And I like to think of myself, I'm not a grandfather yet, thank God. I don't want to. I'm not necessarily to get there.
I'm not even a dad yet. No plans on it.
Not that you know of, Bruce. Let's also hear from Pakalika, our close friend from the Cottonmouth Kings, formerly from Cottonmouth Kings. Well, he'll always be from Cottonmouth Kings, just like I was from Michigan. What up, Pac? You've been listening to the show, huh?
Oh, yeah, I've been listening since it started, man.
Yeah, so, dude, obviously you know a lot about this. I run into Pac at a lot of these meetings and advocacy events around town. Were you as impressed as I was at that press conference last week?
Yeah.
With Melissa Etheridge and
that was real good. You know what I mean? That was a nice sign. You know what I'm saying? I like how to get off the low subject, I like how you bring some people on, like the lawyer guy. I mean, wow. I almost was like, wow. That's what we need money to go to college for. The common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
So you think that his views are way out there from what's common sense to you, right? Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. Well, yeah. It's just he has good double talk, lawyer talk. It's just let me divert what we're talking about to something else. And like I've seen all this damage to families and all this stuff. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's because they're taught from day one. That this is bad. This is bad. They don't even know the truth. They're taught lies from day one.
And the damages to families weren't just pot. Those damages to families, I bet you they were all fucked up on booze.
Booze and other drugs. I'm like, I've seen a lot of people die from car crashes and alcohol. What about that family that broke up?
Yeah, the worst thing you can do on pot is just stop at a green light. Are you kidding me?
So do you think that if marijuana was legal and socially acceptable, it would actually detour people from choosing a more harmful drug like alcohol or cigarettes? I do.
I believe so.
I don't drink anymore. Says he doesn't think that people that don't smoke will smoke, and I kind of agree, that maybe, but I do think that some people that wouldn't try it otherwise, they will feel the comfort in saying, well, if the state says it's okay, it's okay. Why else would they pick up a cigarette knowing there's 50% chance it's going to kill you, and it's got formaldehyde and gas chamber smoke and cyanide in it? The only reason they smoke it is because it wouldn't be out there if it was that dangerous, right? I mean, there's a comfort in that ignorance.
Oh yeah, you know what? People will try, and they might not like it, and that's cool too. But where the money's going to come from, that they're not even calculating, is all the people that, you know, they hide it. They're so on the down low, the lawyers themselves, the doctors, all the people that smoke it on such a DL, that now they'll be able to come out the closet, basically, with their weed smoking.
Right, that's I was gonna say, are they gay?
No, well, you know, I mean, with their weed smoking, as in, you know, it's now legal, and then there's all kinds of other businesses that are going to pop up from this. People, you know, you're going to make $1.4 billion. I say that's low. I mean, you're going to have people that are going to open clubs with, you know, with vaporizers in it because it's not smoking, it's vaporizing. Whole new revenue source that you can create, you know what I'm saying? Just like you have bars, you know what I mean? So it's just
our numbers are always going to be guesstimations, and they'll be misconstrued because, like you said, there's a lot of people that don't admit to smoking. And even, by the way, in comparison, a lot of people think, no, we're better off now with Prop 215. A lot of people don't want to get the doctor's recommendation because they don't like going to a doctor, or they don't want to pay the $200 for the card, or they're afraid to get their name on a list that Big Brother will get a hold of. So in comparison, the taxes that we receive now in California from our medical marijuana dispensaries, which, by the way, there are over 1,400 in California, it brings in about $100 million a year. That's, you know, it's a nice piece of change, but to compare that to the estimated $1.4 billion, or like Pacalico says, maybe even more when closet smokers come out, that shows you how much more people really currently use cannabis than want to be part of the system, the front, which is Prop 215. And it does help patients. I'm a fan of it, but a lot of it is a front because I would think that I'm not, you know, these statistics are on my own, but I'm saying 8 out of 10 people, I think, get the doctor's card so they won't fear any harassment from the police. That will no longer be an issue.
Right, and I kind of probably agree with that because, you know, it's just the medical is going to be the medical. You know what I'm saying? It's still going to be there, and we'll see who's really down for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And if you have the opportunity to make it into a business, you know, I mean, like legal business, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you have a lot of people that they're calling them criminals and all this, and well, a lot of those guys actually have brilliant minds. You're not giving them an opportunity to actually use it. You know, now they have an opportunity, I should say, to use it in a constructive way where they will pay their taxes. All these people, you want them to pay taxes. We need money. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? It's proven that it's less. You know, they're all like, well, we can't control it. It's like vegetables. You go to the fucking grocery store to buy your vegetables, but you can grow them at your house. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But you don't because you don't have the time to do that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So you go buy it at the grocery store. So what is regulation? You know, like, it's a plant, just like every other freaking plant.
Right, except for it happens to be a magically wonderful plant. We only
got a very great plant.
I only got like 2 minutes. I'm going to try again to call my friend that owns a medical marijuana dispensary and see if I can get like 30 seconds out of him if he answers. Hey, Kushinator, listen, man, we only got about 1 minute to talk to us. We're talking about Prop 19, and we need to hear from the owner of a medical marijuana dispensary. Need to hear what your thoughts are. Now, you're probably thinking Prop 19 is going to affect the business of medical marijuana, and so you're probably against it. Is that right?
I don't know. I was heavily thinking about it, and like when we were talking about it on the show, where I was like either for it or against it, and I think that like the only way I'd be against it is if it's like a conspiracy with the government to try and make everything worse, which a lot of people are saying. Or I was thinking that's just crazy because we've been waiting a long time to make this legal, and now the people really want it, like you were saying. So I think you convinced me. I think I'm for it.
Nice. Okay, well, good. You can hear what he's talking about, the debate in his show at hashbar.tv. We're running out of time, so I wish I could hear more from you. But Tuesday, everyone's got to go and vote on Tuesday. Jeffrey Lemasters Tahir, do you got anything you want to plug? Website?
You know, the biggest thing I want to plug is no matter what side everybody is, in June I ran for office out here, and we had an abysmal Riverside County turnout of 16%. Whatever side you're on, get out there and vote. If you don't vote, then you have no reason to make a statement whatsoever. Get out
Amen.
there, vote out, then win with low voter turnout.
Nice. Well said. Okay, listen, thanks everybody. Stabby Bruce Singles, everyone for being on. We're running out of time. 10 seconds of silence for Michael Porter starting now. Time to say bye, baby.
Bye, baby.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Damn a nigga! Damn summer nigga! Damn Kushinator! Man assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I said got straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You get down to straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star broad splash! You can't stop me! 5-star broad splash! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the king of the gang, the balance of power, the zen. You can't stop the king of the gang.